Smile 2 is directed by Parker Finn and stars Naomi Scott, Lucas Gage, and a returning Kyle Gallner from Smile Part 1. And I'm going to go straight into this, guys. This was a really, really good film, and I did not expect that at all. Smile came out, I believe, 2 years ago, and I think it was one of those films that I think everyone expected to be kind of run of the mill. So then, off the back of the fact that it wasn't quite run of the mill, everyone thought, a lot of the consensus was that actually it was amazing. I kind of thought it was quite mid, and I didn't think it was run of the mill, but I didn't come away from Smile as blown away maybe as everyone else did. It felt like it was one of those movies that everyone was talking about, and I was kind of like, I don't really get it. And I think at the time I felt like it was a bit of a rip off of It Follows. It kind of followed a lot of the same kind of plot beats, but just not in the most stylish kind of way. And I just thought it was reasonably generic. There were some good moments in it, but broadly just wasn't for me. So I think when Smile 2 was announced last year, I was kind of meh. And it's only been in the last few weeks when actually quite a lot of buzz about this film was coming up that actually it was quite good, that I started to get excited. And then a couple of the previews the last few days really stood up the ante on that. And I went into it with high hopes, and I'm really pleased to say I really felt that those high hopes were met. So before we dive into kind of the main review, and obviously you know what I think now, I thought it was great, let me just give you a quick synopsis. So, about to embark on a new world tour, global pop sensation Sky Riley begins to experience increasingly terrifying and inexplicable events. Overwhelmed by the escalating horrors and pressures of fame, she must face her dark past to regain control of her life before it spirals out of control. So yeah, as I say, and honestly, this was a really damn good film. When I think about why I preferred it, I think if you look back to Smile Part 1, I think what we're really focusing in there is the curse. It's actually the kind of the horror entity which is sort of ruining this character's life. But I think that in many ways the main character, and this is no read on Sosie Bacon, who played the main character in the first film, but she was quite generic, and I think really she was more of a foil for like, let's see how this kind of curse unfolds, and we'll just kind of place it on her character and see what happens. So it came across as quite generic. I thought a lot of the characters in that film weren't particularly human. I think, as I remember, the husband character in that film is maddening. Doesn't listen to her. She's trying to explain things to him, and a lot of that kind of real kind of earthiness and real character didn't really come out. What I really liked about Smile 2 is what we're essentially following here is a struggling pop star, one kind of really kind of trying to get back into a career when she's obviously just had a car accident, and that's caused some issues. Her partner's died, and there's some trauma there. And the whole thing is almost about this kind of allegory around fame, which, bearing in mind what's happened with Liam Payne in the last 24 hours, was really weird timing, actually, because you could look at the whole film around the pressures of fame and the kind of the insanity behind it. But I felt that I was much more watching a film about a pop star unravel than a film about this kind of generic curse where people smile at you. That was sort of a side part of it, and I think that's what made the film so good. And I think on top of that, the fact that Naomi Scott was so good in this role. I have no idea who this actress is. I've never seen her in anything else before. It was one of the first things I did when I came out of the cinema, was to look her up to actually understand who is she, and what she'd been in before. She's from Hounslow, so she's kind of right Heathrow, South London, and I just thought she was phenomenal. Like, she carries this film. She is eminently watchable. She is charming. The fact that you really care about her, like her life is just wasting away in front of us. You watch everything get destroyed, everything that she's working really hard to get back and trying to kind of enjoy and get back to normal, just isn't able to happen because of what she's going through. And it all kicks off because she's in a bit of back pain and she can't get prescription medication, and I just can't sing her praises enough. I think you just care so. I really cared about her character, and as much as it always feels like a bit of a foregone conclusion where these films are going to go. This film all really sits with her, and Sky Riley is really the heart of the movie, and that really is what differentiates it for me from the first film, and a lot of other horror films. Like, to have that element of connection with the main character and really want to see her kind of succeed and persevere, even as it kind of gets increasingly less likely that that's what she's going to do. I think it's fair to say there's a lot of gore in the film, and gore is kind of being spoken about a lot at the moment with Terrifier 3, and I think Terrifier 3, its thing is gore, and that's why it's getting such good reviews, because it does it so well. What I liked about Smile 2 is, yes, there's a lot of gore, and there's a lot of really kind of gnarly practical effects, and a lot of blood, and a lot of really like quite wince-inducing scenes that make you feel uncomfortable. But it's not really the point of the film. And I think the true horror, as what I was saying before, is about watching her life unravel. And a lot of that stuff is actually quite fantastical. A lot of it's visions. It's not necessarily happening in real life. And it's not really what the true horror is about. It is about that kind of that collapse of this young woman's life, her career, her relationships, and the tension in waiting for some of that to happen. So really good gore and really well done. And, it probably will make you uncomfortable to see if you're not into it, but it wasn't the kind of the driving force. There was kind of more to it than that. There's a great cameo from Ray Nicholson. I actually had no idea that Jack Nicholson even had a son who was an actor, and he's got very few scenes, but actually what he does deliver in the film is gold. Like his expressions, his likeness to Jack Nicholson really kind of elevates it, and he's lucky to have that. But there's actually a scene where you see him act, and it's in the real world, and there are such cool little callbacks to Jack Nicholson, not in an overly like geeky fanboy way or a kind of cheesy callback way, but that they're related, and the performance that he gives in that short scene is really good. In terms of the negatives, there aren't a lot. I think actually the film really works. There are those kind of shrieky, high noise, like cheap jump scares. You do get a few of those that had us kind of jumping out of our seats. My friend Rennie came along with this to me tonight, and he actually had a really good time, but we were both jumping out of our seats at times. I think that actually those jump scares were quite well earned, and actually I didn't find that they were distracting. It was a good balance of, again, like that real world horror with some really good kind of jump scares and really good kind of moments that just kind of give you a bit of a jolt. So as much as they do have to put these in. I didn't, again, a bit like the gore, it didn't feel like that was all the film was. Like you got more than just cheap jump scares, and the ones they did give you were effectively done. They were spooky, they were creepy. And there are just some visuals in this film that are just so good. That whole smile thing that, is iconic around the franchise. The way they play with that, and what they do with it, and the way that it plays out with certain characters. Yeah, that whole smile gimmick. I thought they used it less in this than they did in the first film, but when they used it, it was really impactful, and I really liked it. So I'm going to keep this really short because I don't want to go into spoilers. Another 8 out of 10 for me, and I'm so happy to be able to say that. I've been doing a lot of film reviews recently where I've actually really liked the movie. This film is really good. It's really solid. It's definitely one I'll go back to. And actually, I would love to rewatch it knowing what I know about the ending to kind of see where those different paths diverge. But check it out for yourselves. It's very much recommended for me. It's miles ahead for me of the original. It doesn't even feel like the same movie. It's almost like the director Parker Finn's been just given so much more to do and so much more budget, and he's been able to do something that almost makes the first one seem like a bit of a practice run. So I know it has its fans, but I think if you like the first one, you're going to love this. If you didn't like the first one, ignore it, because I didn't. Oh, I didn't think it was that great, and just go and see Smile 2, because it's a really good original horror that I can't think of a film I've seen like this before, even just in terms of character and the plot. So check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.